All right, today we are going to be ranking the best places to buy property in Utah in 2026. And you guys are gonna be surprised with a few extra cities. And I think you're gonna be shocked at the D part of this as I've looked through these, but let's dive into it. We are going to start from left to right, starting with Provo. Goodness. I like some places of Provo, but I absolutely despise others. Some of the traffic can be psychotic. You know, I'm in between B and C. I'll throw it up as a B. Traffic sucks. BYU causes a lot of congestion, but BYU is great at the same time. If you go to like the river bottoms in that older part of Provo, it's quieter, it's more peaceful. I like that area a lot. I digress. Mapleton. Ooh, is the best place to buy. I'm gonna throw it on A. I might regret that one later. I think Mapleton is one of the most gorgeous cities in Utah. If you're not familiar with Utah, where you're at, even north to south on I-15, the mountain ranges change drastically. Lehigh, you have a lot of gray mountains. In Mapleton, it is like the most green, luscious aspect of the mountain range. So I freaking love it. It's gorgeous. As for value and appreciation, it's been going crazy. More and more people are wanting to move to Mapleton. Think of like Studio McGee vibes if you're not familiar with it, but people love building their little homesteads out there. The next city, goodness, even looking at this and reading it in my head, I just get depressed automatically. Eagle Mountain is one of my least favorite cities in Utah for a lot of reasons. And so that goes immediately to D. The reason I don't like Eagle Mountain started getting some popularity, I should say, during the COVID era because your money goes a lot farther. It's a lot more affordable to get some land and to get a bigger house in Eagle Mountain. And why is it more affordable? Because it's a lot worse than almost every city on this list. And the reason being is because accessibility, right? Utah has I-15 that goes up and down the whole state, and it is your crossroads to get to the airport, to get to events in Salt Lake, everything commuting to almost any job, right? So Eagle Mountain, there's a ton of traffic getting out there, and it takes you like 20 minutes to get to I-15 in a lot of areas. So not a super huge fan. Not only would I not live there, but even like value wise, I'm not a huge fan of it just because of accessibility to I-15. I think the areas that are close to I-15, especially east of I-15, which has the beautiful mountain range, have a lot more value attached. In Eagle Mountains, not as pretty, not as accessible, and the whole culture there, I don't vibe with as much. Payson, having a cow on there is pretty fitting. My grandpa grew up in Payson, and so when I would visit there, like the whole place just smelled like cow crap. That's like my memory and my nostalgia. So maybe I am a little biased in the wrong direction for Payson. It doesn't smell great. However, I will say that for buying a house, appreciation wise, Payson is not a bad place to buy a house at all. Like honestly, anywhere that's close to I-15 in Utah County, Salt Lake County, it's going to be hard to compete with in terms of appreciation. What I will say, it's changed a lot. It's grown a lot since my nostalgic days in cow manure, but it's still pretty far out there. Utah grows because of I-15, grows north to south, and Payson has grabbed a lot of that growth. Now, Vineyard. Now, this might be a hot take. It probably is, but I am throwing Vineyard on the S tier. Let me tell you why. If I saw this recording even a year ago, even 2 years ago, I would say, why the heck are you putting this on the S tier? I'm now building a house in Vineyard that I will move to in 2026. So yes, I am biased, but let me tell you why I love Vineyard. Number one, value-wise, being close to Provo and Orem has two of the biggest universities in Utah. Utah Valley University, which is like 5 minutes from Vineyard, sometimes 2 minutes. It's right next door. So when it comes to value-wise, that's a huge step in the right direction for Vineyard. Now, the other point of that, Vineyard has been building out a 600 or 700 acre development called Utah City that I am pumped about. That's gonna have waterfront parks. It's gonna have like this gorgeous promenade. It's gonna have a 12-acre park-like infrastructure that's gonna be gorgeous, upscale, and it's gonna be very, very focused on fitness, and it's gonna be focused on like beautiful architecture, just an awesome place to live. I'm gonna be like 4 minutes from that, just some vibey pizza stores. I could go on and on about it, but Utah City is gonna be really good good for appreciation too, right? Like when you build that epicenter right in Vineyard, it's gonna pull a lot of people there and increase values. Let alone Vineyard is like smack in between a lake and I-15 in a mountain range, right? So there's not a lot of room to grow, which also adds to the appreciation game. And that could be said for a lot of these cities too, with just how Utah is built. But I love Vineyard. It's funny because the photo album or whatever you call it is a bunch of young girls, which that's one side of Vineyard, right? Like there's this rent by room, everyone that's like graduated from the college scene just barely and renting out their rooms and living there, kind of a bachelorette vibe. Now that's my whole depiction of what I thought Vineyard was up until a couple years ago. And now what I view Vineyard as is there is that side to it. I'm not gonna lie about that, but there's also a lot of young families that are go-getters. Like the amount of hustlers that I know in Vineyard that are just after it, trying to be a better dad, killing it in the business sector. I mean, it's wild how much studs there are in this small little area. So I'm excited to network there and build out. Next on the list, Linden. I love Linden. Let's rewind a little bit. I will say that the biggest con to Vineyard that a lot of people know about are the bugs. And I'm not gonna ignore that. I haven't lived there yet, so maybe I'll revisit this list in a couple years. And if the bugs are that bad, I might knock it down a little bit. But going on to Linden, honestly, I'm gonna put Linden at the A tier. I love Linden. I think it's an amazing place to buy a home. There are some pros and cons that I will dive into. Linden's gorgeous. It's right up against that east bench, has the green, and the accessibility to a lot of places is great. The hard part with Linden, we actually looked in to buy a house in Linden for a long time. It's really expensive for not getting very good product is how I would describe it, which what I mean is really old homes. If I were just to guess of the average age in Linden, I'm guessing 68 years old. Like it is just an old population of people that hunker down in their houses and they love Jesus and they kind of keep to themselves. Like lots of pros to that as well, right? But Linden, I think is going to continue to grow. It's a small little pocket that I think is great. Alpine, I'm throwing this in the S tier. Honestly, I'm gonna get so much hate for this list, but I don't care. Alpine can be out there, and that's some of the cons to Alpine. But I think it's one of the most gorgeous places in the country, and that might be a hot take. There is a reason why Alpine is one of the most expensive cities in Utah, and every time I'm out there, it feels like I'm in a whole new planet. The mountains are rolling. You see them from every view, it feels like, and it's not like I-15 where you see them on the east and the west. They feel like they're all around you in greenery everywhere. There's awesome trails around there. And honestly, just looking at homes in that area is insane. A lot of the influencers in Utah live out there. A lot of the multi-million dollar exit rich folks live out there. So the homes are amazing. I think they just listed a home in Alpine that's like 35 million. We're talking like California numbers out there. Going on from Alpine, we are talking about Santaquin. That's a freaking steep drop. Santaquin, I am throwing on C, which is funny that I'm throwing it on C because it honestly reminds me of Payson. Santaquin's out there. The pros, like I said before, if you're buying anywhere in Utah County, Salt Lake County, that's close to I-15, appreciation is going to be on your side. So you're not getting an F on the assignment, you're getting a C, and you're getting a C because you can still get hints of that cow manure and you're still an hour away from a Jazz game, the airport, etc. So it's far out there. That's why I don't love it. The cool part on the appreciation side, and Santaquin, Spanish Fork, these type of cities, there's so much new construction going because there's a demand for people to live there. In Utah in general, affordability is a huge issue. And so Santaquin is a solution to that affordability and still not a terrible place to live. So I'm trying to rank these based on what we have in front of us. But if you put Santaquin up to cities in a different state, I think it'd rank pretty high. There's a Costco, Target, still places to shop super far out. So you're not taking the horse and buggy out. Park City, if you can afford it. You know what? I can't have Vineyard, Alpine, Park City all in the same tier system. So I am dropping down my new home city to the A tier because of the bugs and because they don't line up to Alpine and Park City. With that being said, let's dive right back into Park City. If you can buy a home in Park City and hold on to it, you are going to be very appreciative of yourself in 10 years. I use 10 years for a few reasons. Number one, anything short-term when you look at real estate is risky. But when you look at 10 years, there is a high probability that in a high appreciating market like Utah, that you are going to close to double your value, which is wild to think, but Park City has shown this time and time again. There's so much outside, out of state, out of country money that comes to Park City because it's one of the top, and I should say probably top 3 skiing, snowboarding destinations in the entire world. People fly from out of country all the time to come to Park City because it's some of the best snow and it's a quaint little town that I've come to love. And the other reason why it might be one of the best decisions to buy now is because there is a massive event coming for the Winter Olympics, and Park City is going to be the epicenter of that. Back in 2002, when the Olympics were in Park City, it brought an economic boom, to say the least. And with the trajectory that Utah's already heading, I think that this go around with the Olympics is going to throw that much more fuel to the fire. So if you can buy in Park City, huge win there. Okay, Lehigh, next on the list. You have a little tech bro on the front cover, which is a good depiction of Lehigh. When I first planted my roots as a family here in Utah 3.5 years ago, Lehigh as an out-of-stater was the best place for me to move for a lot of reasons. If you do research, it's one of the fastest growing cities in Utah. Value-wise, it's been booming. They have deemed this the Silicon Slopes, which is named after Silicon Valley because of the tech influence that is brought to Lehigh. There is more unicorn companies per capita in Lehigh than I think most major cities in America, which is wild. I think it even competes with San Francisco. I should say second to San Francisco in terms of per capita, but it's absolutely wild what Lehigh's done. And honestly, I am the tech bro. Like when I moved to Utah, I was in the tech scene and I wanted to have job growth around me. I wanted to feel good about my investment in a property, and Lehigh was great. The other thing I'll say about Lehigh is it's a great spot for the social scene, especially if you're a young family. Lehigh-Saratoga border is a wonderful place to plant roots because there's going to be a lot of value in where you're buying in terms of appreciation, but also you're going to be surrounded around a lot of amazing families. So maybe a little bit biased there because that's where I live right now before our house is built in Vineyard in the fall. So Orem, I'm going to match this with Provo. I feel like Orem is very similar to Provo in a lot of senses. I think they mesh together in a lot of ways. Orem is home to Utah Valley University. Provo is home to Brigham Young University. They're about 10-15 minutes apart. Depending on traffic, goodness, it could be 20 minutes. It's insane. There is a lot of good coming to Provo and Orem, and I gravitate towards that because of the business culture. But with the traffic, and there's a lot of old homes, there's a lot of neighborhoods that maybe don't hit the perfect demographic that I think is the best place to buy. But with that, there's some amazing neighborhoods as well in Orem. I think that the #1 neighborhood that I would live in personally is Canyon Coves, which is in the canyon, which is in Orem. And so that's a wonderful place. That neighborhood alone would be in the S tier, but there's a lot of other places of Orem that I'm not in love with. So I'm gonna put that on the B tier. Last but not least, Saratoga Springs. I am putting this on the C tier. The reason I'm doing this, I like Saratoga for a lot of reasons. Like I said, I'm right on the border of Lehigh and Saratoga, and I do all my shopping in Saratoga. The hard part with Saratoga is it stretches so deep away from I-15, like pushing toward Eagle Mountain. And so there's parts of Saratoga that I really like that are accessible to I-15 that I think brings a lot of future value to people as Utah continues to grow. And so Saratoga is growing a lot. It has a Costco, has a ton of shopping, like good food in that little epicenter. But as you get closer and on the other side of the lake, you're getting in a spot where you're trapped from accessibility. And I will paint you a picture. There are 2 roads that go east and west. So you have I-15 that goes this way, and then you have 2100 and what we call Pioneer Crossing. Those roads go to Saratoga, they go to Eagle Mountain, they go to West Lehigh, and they are constantly congested. And for me, I can deal with it because on a super bad day, it might be 15 minutes of traffic to my house. On a really bad day for people in Eagle Mountain, it might be 40 minutes, because just on a non-traffic day, it's 20 minutes because you're so far out there. So Saratoga is great. I'm gonna put that on the C tier just when you compare it to all of the other cities that I have on here. In summary, buying in Salt Lake County and Utah County, it's hard to go wrong in 2026 with the amount of growth that is coming to this place. What I will say is, as you get closer to I-15, it gets really, really important when it comes to future growth, because I foresee Utah continuing to grow. And if your accessibility is tough, I think it's going to be a huge deviant in your value. If you're on the east side of I-15, you're protected. And there's amazing neighborhoods in there that we've talked about, and traffic's not as bad because it's been built out for a long time. So besides Provo Norum. That being said, thank you for watching. Destroy my takes in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I've only been in Utah for 3.5 years with my fam, but I've lived here for college and such. So I am giving you full permission to destroy or to agree with me. Let me know. Thanks for watching.